You know that your neck muscles are your nervous system's threat detector? Isn't that so crazy? Okay, let me explain. So we're gonna talk suboccipital proprioception. Those are a lot of big words. So basically, suboccipitals are the muscles underneath the base of your skull at the top of your neck. And proprioception is basically your body's sixth sense. It's the ability to understand where you are in space, understand your position, and the force that either you are acting upon other objects or that is being acted upon you. So like your subconscious ability to understand gravity in your body, that's proprioception. Okay, and I'm gonna use my notes because I'm not an encyclopedia and there's a lot of really great information here and I don't wanna get any of it wrong. So basically, your nervous system is constantly using your neck to take a reading of whether or not you're safe. Okay, so your suboccipital muscles are some of the highest concentration of muscle spindles in your entire body. Like, they have significantly more muscle spindles than some of the largest muscles in your body, which is really crazy because they're not very big. And these muscle spindles are proprioceptive sensors. So they sense that sixth sense that detects movement, position, and forces in space. And they're constantly feeding position and tension information into the brain, specifically the cerebellum and the brainstem. So when these muscles underneath your skull are chronically contracted, that is sending a constant state of alarm to your central nervous system about the state of the head and neck, about the state of the safety of your head and neck, and basically saying, alert, alert, the head and the neck are under threat, which are like very important parts of your body, and your central nervous system is going to respond accordingly. So your central nervous system is going to start bracing even more. It's going to bring even more tension into your neck. And it's going to continue doing that as if it were under constant threat, because the more tension that it brings, the more threat signals are sent by those muscles that are tensing, and the more tension that it will continue to bring. It's like a crazy loop, right? And this essentially keeps you in fight or flight. So even if you're doing like daily breath work and daily yoga and you're journaling and you feel super safe in your life and you're like, why am I constantly in fight or flight? If you have significant tension in your neck, that could be a huge reason why you're constantly in fight or flight. Crazy. So basically, because like the reason why it's like this is because this signaling mechanism completely bypasses the prefrontal cortex, where you are thinking, right? Like where you're thinking your conscious thoughts. That's our prefrontal cortex. That's our top of our head, right? Our top of our brain. The cortex of the brain is like where you're thinking your conscious thoughts. This is happening in the cerebellum and the brainstem, which is your animal brain. So it's completely bypassing anything that you are thinking logically or rationally. And it's going to that area of your brain that's completely unconscious. So how do we fix it? There are some suboccipital release techniques that are specific to these muscle groups that can really help release the tension and signal to the central nervous system that those muscles are no longer under threat and may basically stop the nervous system from continuing to brace them. And just to say, most neck stretching stretches the larger cervical muscles, specifically the traps, the deltoid muscles in the shoulders, honestly, the SCM muscles as well. So forget about all of your normal neck stretches because they're not going to work here. These muscles are very hard to reach. So there's two release techniques that I would recommend. The first one is supine decompression. So that's basically when you put, and I think I have this in one of my other videos, when you put your knuckles at the base of your skull in those little ridges underneath, and we're not pressing on the spine, okay? First things first, find your spine and move your knuckles away from it to the sides, okay? We're not trying to injure our central nervous system. And then we're gonna find those little divots under the base of the skull, and then you're gonna lay flat on your back, on a flat surface, absolutely no pillow whatsoever, and you're gonna let gravity do its thing for 2 to 5 minutes, and you're gonna wanna do this every day for 2 to 5 minutes. If you don't wanna use your knuckles, that's fine. You can use tennis balls. I would recommend 2, and I would recommend putting them in a sock so that they're more stable. The other thing that you can do is while you're down there laying, again, with no pillow on a hard surface, you can do a chin tuck and occipital lift, which is basically just tucking your chin and lengthening the suboccipital muscles at the base of your skull as much as possible. Maybe even bringing the arms in for some extra weight. Again, you're laying flat on a hard surface while you're doing this. And I would recommend doing this every single day to help release your suboccipitals and to help signal to your central nervous system that your head and neck are no longer under threat and that it can slowly but surely stop this chronic bracing pattern so that you no longer have all this crazy stuff that's happening, which I'm going to talk about in the next part, because suboccipital tension does a lot of crazy stuff in the body that most people, like I had no idea that things like migraines and bruxism and inflammation could be related to suboccipital tension. So I'm going to explain more in the next part. I hope that this was as interesting to you as it is to me. Sending so much love. Bye.